Easy, James here. Now you have to excuse my voice because unfortunately I've got a cold, but there you go, it's all just part of being a human. Anyway, so if you're a networks engineer, chances are you run a lot of Cat5 and Cat6 cable, and like me, you probably like to keep your cables nice and neat. So you try and avoid the disasters that I've seen over the years, where it's just cables running everywhere, all over the place, and you've got switches that are kind of just hanging out the rack by their cables, and you've got servers that aren't all nice and neat in a rack. They're just in the middle of the floor with people stamping all over them, and they're actually probably used more as a coffee table than a file server. Now, if you don't like to work like that, chances are you like to dress your cables and keep them nice and neat. Now, if you YouTube search something called cable dressing, this kind of newish fad, there's videos on there, people showing off their professional work where they've got all the Cat6 cables all running nice and neat, and it's all bundled and taped and they're all flat. And that's a brilliant idea, because let's be honest, right? It kind of poses better value for money on your part for your services when you turn up to do a job and you leave the cables looking really neat and professional like that. Because the customer then feels like they've got what they paid for. It poses better value for money and it looks more professional. So to do cable dressing, you need this thing called a cable comb. Now, I looked on Amazon and I looked on eBay for one of these cable comb things. They do go by various other names, like, you know, Cat5 dressing comb and things like that. But I couldn't find anything on Amazon and very limited on eBay. So if you can't find it on either one of those, generally it's quite a specialist thing. So I went on Google, searched for it, went to one website called Network Supply, whatever it is, and I quickly went off the website again because I saw this silly little cable comb thing was 70 quid. Yes, £70 for a silly piece of thermoset plastic, moulded plastic with little notches in it. I'm not being funny, this item here, okay, has more plastic than that little cable comb, and it also has metal in it, and this doesn't even cost a quarter of what that cable comb costs. Rip off. But guess what? There's good news. You don't need to spend 70 quid for a cable comb. All you need is a bit of that, something round like that. You need one of them and you need one of them. And if you can't afford one of these, nip into B&Q or some other home DIY store and look for something called a coping saw. It'll cost you about a £5. It will do exactly the same thing, it will just take longer. So there you go, let's begin. Okay, now here's a bit of wood. Now you've probably already sussed what I'm going to do here and you're probably way ahead here, but it's not rocket science. Just get the round thing that you picked, draw around it onto the bit of wood so that you end up with a perfectly round circle on the bit of wood, and then you get your jigsaw and cut it out. What's more rocket science is probably getting a bloody socket in this place. Everything's plugged in. It's what makes me laugh. It's an electrician's house, yet there's no fucking sockets. Bingo. Sorted. Now the cut isn't absolutely perfect, but that really doesn't matter for this case, so as long as you've got something that looks like that, you're sorted. Right, now there is one more tool which you need, which I forgot to mention, and that is a rat tail file. Now that's something you're probably already going to have, and if you haven't, then thankfully also they can be got quite cheaply for a couple of quid online, or your local hardware store will probably have like a pack of 3 for a few quid. So pick one of them up. Right, next thing you need to do is you need something that is smaller than the diameter of the circle that you've cut out, approximately half the size. I'm going to use this bottle of flux. So just lay that on there, look over the top of it. It doesn't have to be spot on, but look over the top and get it as centralized as you can, and then again get your pencil and just run around. Alright, now this is only a guide mark, so don't panic if it's not perfect. It really doesn't matter. Okay, this is garden shed approach to a professional problem, so we can afford to be a little bit off here. Right, next thing you need to do is clamp it into a workmate. If you haven't got one of these workmates, then don't panic, you can just do this freehand, it's not a big deal. And then once you've got your bit of wood clamped, or if you're holding it, whatever you're doing, just get your rat tail file and just literally run it backwards and forwards. Now the better your file, the quicker this will work. And what you want to do is file right down to your guideline and then stop. like that. Okay, then you need to rotate it a little bit and do another one. That's another one. Yeah, you're probably seeing a pattern forming by now, so work your way all the way around till you get all the way around, and that's it. Now, as an extra optional little step, you don't have to do this, but if you do have a flat file or a bit of sandpaper or something, just round off the corners a little bit, so it just helps the wires to slip in and out a little bit easier, just like that. There you go. Dust be gone. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, that did take a good 15 or 20 minutes to file those down. But if you want to speed the process up a little bit, what you could do is get the rat tail file, file a little divot in the top of the wood, and then get your coping saw that you brought or any other type of saw that you may have laying around, and just cut down either side of that divot and then snap it out the middle, and then use the file to clean up the rugged edge. That will make it go a little bit quicker for you. But either way, what you'll end up with is something that looks like that. Now, does that look as neat and professional as the plastic tool that you buy for £70? Well, of course not. But the finish of the work that you do with this will look neat and professional. Isn't that all that matters? The customer doesn't give a toss what your tools look like. They just care about whether the work you've done is actually neat. And most customers don't even care about that. So really, it's just a bonus. So who cares what it looks like? But the real question is, does it work as well as the plastic thing that you buy for £70? Well, let's find out. Of course it works as well as the plastic one. Why? Because it's exactly the same. It's just made of wood, not plastic. The material doesn't make a difference. So there you go. If you want to save yourself a few quid, don't buy one of them plastic ones, make one yourself. And to be honest, you probably won't even notice the difference. Now, I must just add in here, because I know people are going to say this in the comment section, there are obviously alternatives to the expensive £70 one, but even at half that value, at 35 quid, it's still a little bit rich for what is essentially a piece of plastic with some bloody notches in it. And this one cost me absolutely nothing, and the chances are it's going to cost you nothing or next to nothing, and you'll end up with something like that. Now, I appreciate it doesn't look very good, but if you're really worried about it, spray it black, spray it bright blue, bright yellow, whatever colour you want, and just don't keep it on display if you're that concerned. But to be honest, no one is gonna care. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any decent comments and constructive criticism or any questions, bung them in the comments section below. If you like my videos, feel free to subscribe wherever the button is. It's somewhere, I don't know where it is these days, but just find it and click it. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. So there you go. Thank you for watching. Nice one.